I'm so sorry. Can you hear me well, though?
Alright, yes. People seem to say that they can hear you.
I also have on my PC next to me. I have YouTube open as well, so I can see at least what people are writing. But apparently it's super delayed.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay, but that's normal.
Okay. Do you want to stay on Skype to help me out with the questions, or?
Totally up to you. It depends if people can hear me properly. Can everyone on the chat hear me? Georgie, I'm from Procreate. See what happens. Don't know.
People, can you hear Georgie? Or is the sound too bad?
Yeah, no, apparently they can hear me.
Okay. Then I will put you there and leave you like that. Okay. Because I still cannot read the comments of the people.
Ah, sure. All right. I'll field comments. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for waiting for us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Pauline, and yeah, I'm doing live drawing today. And Georgie from Procreate will help me out with the comments and questions because we had some technical issues. And yeah, so that way I can know what you say. Yeah. As you can see, I have this magical beginnings brush set. It's the one that I built myself, and it's for my personal, like, it just through using the app over 2 years, I just from time to time build my own brushes, and I all reduce them to those, how many are they? 9 brushes that are my essentials basically for my workflow. And yeah, I will just start to draw something to show you my progress a little bit.
Dante, this is not the Procreate 5 update. This is just one of our regular LiveDraw streams. We've got the amazing Pauline here with us today doing a drawing for you. Procreate 5 will be released later this year, and that's all the information I've got for you. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm now just basically randomly sketching what I already know. This is a little bit of a comfort zone thing, so I can talk at the same time, because usually I'm really not used to talk and draw at the same time. I'm usually getting very much into the zone where I'm not able to talk anymore, so I'm trying to do something that's easy for me, which is just a face.
I'm seeing some feature requests pop up in the comments here, guys. So if you have something that you would like to see in Procreate, please let us know on the ideas and discussions board at procreate.art/discussions. I'm going to leave that link in the comments as well. There you go. Oh, Hilaria Paulina, she says, I love your work so much. I'm a big fan of your art.
Oh, thank you. I wish I could read what people say so I could, react better. But yeah, I'm just usually the way I start is I just place very dirtily random strokes, and then I like to just I love this much tool, and I just like to push around the pixels until they are where I want them. And I think the line work part is also the one that takes the longest.
So do you always start in values, Paulina?
Actually not so much. I try to put down as many lines as I need so I can know where everything is. But I don't know, there you posted a progress video of how I work a while ago, and I think it was one of the most chaotic ones that are out there, because I do, like, when I do personal work, I do make a lot of changes on the way, and yeah, there's not really like a step-by-step process that is very clean. There's a lot of jumping back and forth, and I start to work in color very early, but you will see that in a few minutes. Yeah, and it's a lot of trial and error, because every time that I am working on a piece, I'm trying to implement a new approach so I do not get bored of the process, of the whole process itself. And to not be stuck in my ways, but to keep developing and learning. And every time that I see someone else drawing or painting, I try to like find something new that I could try the next time. I had really nice aha moments when I was watching Evan Meir Amundsen, for example, or the process of Jenny Wüstling Velasco or Jana Schirmer. So it's always good to also look over the shoulders of friends and just watch them draw.
I feel like I have aha movements every time I watch these live streams or jump on streams with artists. Like the different ways that people use the different tools for things is just mind-blowing to me. Like, I learn something every time I watch a stream. It's awesome.
Yeah, right. Also, Nikolai Lockertson, he is one of the masters of how, to what an extent you can use the tools, and he helped me tremendously with working with Procreate.
Yeah, Nico's pretty insane. He's like, I'm sure everyone in the comments knows of Nico, but if you haven't, Nikolai Lockertson is an artist from Norway, and he's a conceptor, works in the movie industry, and he's been with Procreate since the very beginning. So he pretty much knows more about Procreate than even a lot of people in the office. And the way that he uses Procreate's tools is really innovative. Like, if we don't have an actual tool for something, he's figured out a way to do it using other tools. And so we're always like, hey, Nico, can you do the thing? And he's like, oh yeah, this is how you can do it. It's like, what?
I can totally confirm that.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. For example, he has a hack on, like, you know, when you're drawing a line, you're doing your line art, and you're like, oh, I wish I'd made that a little bit thicker, and you obviously can't go and make it thicker, you have to actually do the line again, but he has a hack on how you can make that line thicker. It's, it involves a lot of duplicating and using the Gaussian blur and duplicating and kind of making it bigger that way, but it works, and I was amazed when I saw that at industry workshops last year.
Yeah, for me it was the different ways that you can use the color channels, like this tool, the curves for the colors. This is the hue color slider, and the curves are a big thing in my color process. That was also a challenge when I was doing traditional oil painting this year, because you don't have those tools on canvas.
Oh my god, I know the feeling though. I feel like sometimes digital art has spoiled me. When I go back to traditional, I'm like, I don't have the color drop tool, or I don't have dodge and burn, and now I have to mix all the paints myself and paint it on myself.
Exactly.
Oh my god, first world problems. But tell me a bit about that, actually, your process doing the oil paintings for Lumi this year. Because obviously you do some chromatic aberration with your digital pieces. So how did you go about actually doing that with oil paintings? That seems really tricky.
Well, first of all, I spent ages to find the right colors, because there are only very few. Actually, I only found one brand that is producing proper neon oil colors, and you need the purest and most glowing colors you can find in order to achieve these effects. I was priming my canvases in neon pink, so every time a color is applied in a transparent way, the neon pink would shine through and make everything much more illuminated. It's a huge difference compared to having a white canvas underneath. So yeah. Oops. So I think my secret for the oil colors, it was basically neon oil colors. Apply them along the edges, along the hard edges of the painting, to kind of clone the effect of chromatic aberration.
For those of you who don't know what we're chatting about here, Paulina recently did an exhibition in LA around the same time as Lightbox Expo when we were in Pasadena. It was called Lumi, and she created a few beautiful, stunning oil paintings that I would kill to have in my own office. And they were just amazing, different sizes, and using the chromatic aberration technique that you do see in a lot of her digital works as well. So pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, the biggest one was 2 meters high, and it's still hanging there until the end of the year. It was in Santa Ana. It was organized by David Luong, and he did an amazing job at organizing everything. He's working at Blizzard, so it was all still part of the video games industry bubble, I would say, which is amazing. The feedback was great, and I really appreciated to go back to the roots, because the traditional experience also made me better in my digital artwork.
So did you start traditionally when you first began painting?
Yes, but I cannot really tell you when I started, because I cannot remember not doing it. So I started traditionally, and I did oils. The last time I did oils before this year was when I was a teenager. And I had a mentor who was a very successful, or it still is a successful German artist, traditional artist from the New Leipzig school. And he just taught me to look closer. Like, we did not do any techniques. All we ever did was drawing with pencil. We would invite models and then paint them, and then he would always be finished before me, and then stand behind me and just point on my drawing all the time. Look closer, do it more accurate. So he taught me to look, basically. It's good to really look and understand shapes of nature before you start to stylize them.
I think it's quite common for people, especially when they're first starting out, and I know that I have fallen victim to this as well, is they fall into the trap of drawing what they think they know rather than what they see.
Exactly.
So it very, very quickly spirals out of control and you can't figure out what's wrong with the piece, and it's because you didn't get those foundations actually correct. You thought you were doing the right shape, but you weren't actually looking at what you were doing.
Exactly.
So,
we tend to think in symbols. So when we are not trained at all in drawing, and you tell someone to draw an eye, they draw a symbol of an eye. Actually, usually they make this almond shape, and then they add a circle for the pupils, and then some strokes like a kindergarten son for the lashes. This is how we think when we draw, when we are not trained. And it's super hard to get over that state. Actually, there are some exercises like try to copy a painting or another drawing while drawing it on the, turned 180 degrees, like on the head, like upside down. Because then you stop seeing what you think you see. You just see what you see.
Yeah, simply changing the perspective sometimes can be all it takes.
Yeah, it has to do with different brain, the left and the right side or something. I forgot the details, but it has to do with that.
A couple of people in the comments saying they can't wait for Procreate 5. You know what? I also can't wait for Procreate 5 because it's so cool and I can't wait to see what everyone else does with it.
I love it.
Have you had much of a play with it yet? Sorry, everyone. Paulina is one of our private beta testers, and she is allowed to tell us about Procreate 5 if she would like.
I am able?
Yeah.
I did not, like, the subtle changes to the stuff that I usually use are already so huge that I am still busy exploring those that I didn't even get to the big changes. Because I think it will, once I start to explore the animation feature, for example, I will just get completely in the zone and probably spend weeks with it. But I love the new brush building editor.
Yeah, I'm super addicted to it. And I think, I probably showed you in Berlin or Eindhoven, Paulina, that I'm developing unicorn brushes for Procreate 5. I'm so excited.
What? No, you did not show me the unicorn brushes.
Didn't I? Oh my gosh. Unicorn brushes. Just because the new color dynamics guys that are coming in Procreate 5 are so... Spiridon's having a dig at me in the comments about the audio. The color dynamics are so varied and you can do so many things with them, and now with Apple Pencil we map just so many options to it, so you can do just all these variabilities with pressure, tilt, all of that stuff. So I've been living my unicorn dreams and creating these rainbow brushes that just do all of these crazy colors on different commands sort of things.
How can I see how you are using them?
Well, I'll have to wait until 5 is released to be able to show everyone properly, I guess, but we'll see.
When will it be out exactly?
This year.
This year, okay.
This year. That's all we've got. I know everyone is annoyed, but there's not that much of the year left, guys. It's going to be soon, regardless, so we're good.
I sometimes like to flip the canvas because then you suddenly see all the things that are off. It's that same effect when you take a selfie and your face is flipped and you never see your face from that angle. And you see suddenly all the things that are not right.
It's me every day. Every day doing the Procreate Instagram tutorials, and then I have to do it in selfie mode so that I look like to me, because if I do it the other way around, the same thing, it looks split and I get really off put, and I don't look like me. I'm sure I look normal to everyone else though.
Can people hear you all right as well?
According to Spiridon, I sound like I'm about to say danger, Will Robinson. But...
Is that an inside joke?
Sorry?
Is that an inside joke?
No, it's from a movie, but I think he means that I sound a little bit robotic or low quality.
Yeah, that's the Skype.
Yeah, that's okay. At least you guys can hear me. Creative Girl of Colour with Daniel B. It's a very long username. Pauline Voß painting. She's, correct me if I don't say this properly, Scarnivore on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Yep.
I think there's a link in the YouTube video caption if you want to go check out her portfolios.
Yeah, it's Scarnivore everywhere.
I wish we could have music or something. That would be nice.
I'm afraid this would completely fuck up the audio quality.
Yeah. Also licensing issues.
Oh yeah. True that.
That's okay.
You could sing.
We can just talk rubbish I usually do. I mean, I could, but firstly, I wouldn't want to put everyone through that with me apparently sounding like a robot. And also, I can't sing. And also licensing issues. So
I heard that there are licensing issues even when you sing Happy Birthday or something.
Yeah, I heard that recently too. I was like, well, we're all getting sued. That's fine. Angie would like to know what layer modes you're using to put down color.
So I have this normal, this is the normal skin tone underlayer, and then I have this reddish line layer on normal as well, but I do like to put it on multiply a lot too. Then I have the blush on multiply, and the mascara and the eyebrow pencil on multiply. And I will later use a lot of add, because add is my favorite blending option mode ever in Procreate. It feels like painting with lights.
Yeah. So for the users who may not understand blend modes fully, what do you experience when you're using multiply on a layer?
Oh yeah.
Or add is put in.
So you have here, when you tap on that little letter, you have the different blending modes. There's darken, lighten, contrast, difference, and color. Actually quite a lot altogether, right? But I mainly use only multiply, which would make everything like it's becoming like a dark, transparent version of the color that you're using, so you can see through everything, unless you use black, because if you use black it will just cover everything. And then you have, wait, I can also show you. So let's put this on multiply. I now use a very bright green. And when it's on multiply, wait, let's start with normal. So I have this very bright green, and when I put it on multiply, it's doing this. And then you can, if you want different effects, just like the way how I started to work with blending modes, I would just do something like this with the green and then just go through everything, and then I just asked myself if I liked what it did or not. Like, I never had anyone explain it to me either. It was just like trial and error. And depending on, this is also very cool, depending on what colors you're using and what different layers, they can have super, super different effects. Yeah.
Just for the people in the comments asking about your brushes, so you're using your own personal brush sets?
Yep. I use my personal brushes. You can buy them on QBrush. You just have to type in my name, and I have there online the brush set and tutorial on how I use them.
I'm going to put the link to those brushes in the caption for the video, so if you guys want to go and buy Paulina's brushes, try them out, you can do that.
Thank you, Georgie.
No worries. Should be in there now, hopefully. Otherwise, there it is in the comments too.
What I also like to do to get some variation in the texture is, let me get rid of all those, is when you, I like to, just take this layer, then I like to add noise to the maximum, and then add Gaussian blur. And now you have this rainbow unicorn noise thing. And it's very subtle, but I still really like it. This is my favorite part. To like, I like to work from dark to light. What I didn't mention in the beginning was that I do not like to start from white, so I always start from mid or darker gray. Because from there you can go darker but also lighter, so it automatically allows you to get more depth immediately. And so I tend to keep everything pretty dark, so when I paint in the light it has this satisfying effect.
I have to ask as well, because I have noticed at least a quite common theme in the characteristics of the women that you paint, in that they all seem to look like you. Is that due to references? Do you use references of yourself, or did you use references of yourself when you were beginning painting?
Yes, I did use a lot of reference of myself, and people kept telling me that, even when back in the days I felt like it was not the case. And then I just started to do it more on purpose, especially with the traditional paintings that I did this year. That was a self-portrait on purpose, because, I mean, in a way, I think, for me, it's very important that I can identify with what I'm doing. And in a way, every piece of art of an artist is a self-portrait, even though maybe the features of the face don't look like the artist, but it's an expression of yourself. And yeah, I think it's something subconscious, maybe even.
Yeah.
That it's always coming through. And also, your face is the face that you see in the mirror each day.
I think it's actually quite a common thing amongst artists. I see it quite a bit online, is that their art seems to have reflections of themselves almost, which is kind of cool, you know? I think, anyway.
I do think it's cool. I know that there are some people who are afraid that it might look as if they love themselves too much or all that, but I think that's bullshit. This is art, and there's nothing more personal than that. So why not make it personal?
Good night, Spirit. Alex says, my art teacher despised digital art until I showed him the beauties of Procreate, and now he's considering having students learn Procreate in my high school's art curriculum. That is super cool.
That's super cool. It's also super cool that this art teacher was able to be convinced.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of horror stories from teachers and professors at universities and art schools. There are a lot of rules they make up, how things have to be, that are so not true.
Absolutely. I think everyone has that story about their art teacher in high school that, you know, is perhaps not a little bit flattering. But I think it's super cool that your teacher was able to kind of turn around and go, oh, actually, this is beneficial. Because there are still a lot of people who, they seem to have the mindset that digital art is not real art because a computer's doing it for you. And that's absolute rubbish. It's just a different way of doing art. And I think it's really important that people are open to changing their conceptions on those things, and having him teach it in school sounds awesome to me. I would have loved that when I was in high school.
Yeah, same. I didn't know what a graphic tablet was until my early 20s.
Yeah, I think I was 18 when I saw my first graphics tablet, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a whole thing that I could get into.
I think we're the same age, right?
Yeah.
And now we will tell no one how old we are.
Just silence. No on that one. No, my graphic tablet, unfortunately, is gathering dust in my house because now I have an iPad and Procreate, and I love it.
Same.
Hey from Portugal. Hey from Tasmania.
Who's there from Portugal?
Gonzalo? Don't know.
No, I mean, I know several Gonzalos, so hi Gonzalo. Oh, it's a friend of a friend's.
Oh.
I just got a notification. Hi, Rosa. And hi, other people from Portugal who are watching as well, because I know you're there.
Oh, you started something now. Now everyone will be like, I'm from this country, and you'll be like, give us a shout out.
Yeah, give a shout out. I want to know what other countries are there.
That would be pretty cool. Where are you guys from? Let us know in the comments.
Is there someone from Finland? Because I'll be in Finland next month.
Oh, yeah, you're going to theme park, aren't you?
Yeah.
Man, that's so exciting. I wish I could go to theme park. I've always wanted to go to Finland.
Me too. I'm super excited.
Maybe I should just go.
You should come.
Just like, with my own money, just go there.
I mean, I will be talking about Procreate. Wouldn't that be a reason enough?
Well, I mean, makes sense. Oh, we've got Christina here, who's a German in Melbourne, Australia. We've got Baltimore in USA, Chile, Colombia, Philippines, UK.
Wow.
Big variance. God, it must be nighttime for some of you guys. What are you doing up?
Right? I mean, for me, it's nighttime. It's almost midnight.
Yeah. Up. Oh my god. Christina would like to know, what's the most difficult thing for you to draw?
In like things that I never draw because they are completely out of my field, or things that I draw and I find difficult.
I guess both of those things.
I find still anatomy very difficult, and I need to go more to live drawing classes. There are none good ones at my hometown, but I will change that soon. And I think animals are super hard to draw. I want to incorporate them more in my art, and every time I try, I realize I need to practice more, because there is some fundamental understanding missing of certain shapes of animals.
I've recently been trying to draw my own dogs a bit more, to try and learn how to draw dogs, and I'm kind of in the same boat. I just lack the fundamentals, I think, to actually do that. So I get I put down my gesture lines and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be really good. And I put down some basic shapes and I'm like, yes, this is working. And then I try and put some detail and I'm like, oh God, what have I created? It's not working. And then I just kind of throw away my drawing and sit there grumpily.
Yeah, exactly. This is basically me. I was trying to get a grasp on goats recently because I love goats.
Goats are really cool. Super fun.
I have subscribed to the hashtag baby goats on Instagram, so I have a lot of baby goats on my feed. There is nothing more cheering up, you know what I mean? That is than this, because the way how they jump around and are superhuman is just hilarious.
I love the YouTube videos of them, where they're one just goes a little bit crazy and it starts bouncing around the paddock, and it starts jumping and bouncing off other goats.
Oh yeah.
Using them as a board. Just
that's very typical. Do you know the videos of the goats that are screaming like humans?
Yes. Oh my god. Oh, Billy Mertens from the Netherlands, but has family in Hobart. What?
Ooh, how exotic.
That's maybe it's small.
Do you have seasons in Hobart?
Well, I mean, technically yes, but kind of you get all 4 of the seasons in the one day. So, and then depending on what time of year it is, one of those seasons in each day might be a little bit more dramatic than the other ones. So it's at the moment, for example, it's really cloudy and overcast, but it's probably going to be sunny in a little bit, and then, hey, we might get some rain in the afternoon, and then it will come back to being just fairly moderate. It's, we have a saying in Tasmania, which is, if you don't like the weather, come back in 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a bit like that.
And in winter, do you have snow?
Yeah, we do actually. Common misconception about Australia is that it's always hot, but it's not. So we get, in Tasmania, definitely we have a couple of mountains that get snow. You can see Mount Wellington in Hobart gets snow in the winter, and you can see that over the city, which is really nice. And we actually have some pretty good ski resorts on the mainland, Falls Creek, I think it's called. So yeah, fun facts.
That's unexpected.
It's unexpected. When I tell people that, they're like, wait, what? Creative Girl of Colour wants to know which which brush in your pack you used for the eyebrows.
Just the hard base brush. And then I smudge the inner ends. Every time, like basically I use the hard brush most of the times. I just start very awkwardly like this with a brow. So it looks more like something that a dog did. And then I smudge it. And then it's basically like until it has the shape that I want. And whoops. And that's it. There we are.
Christina would like to know if you think it would be worth starting from studying skeletons and then building the muscular structure on top to kind of get down anatomy.
I think that it can help when you're already, like, that's my personal opinion. I saw different approaches, but I think it helps you when you're already quite into the topic, because what's much more important than knowing about the skeleton underneath is to get an overall feeling for the organic human figure. And I think that our perception of a human body is already quite sensitive. That's why for many artists faces are so hard to draw, because you see if there is only 1 millimeter off, because we read faces for a living basically. And it's very similar with bodies and with body language. So sometimes the expression is more important than the actual anatomical correctness, because that can also look very, very quickly very stiff. But I have been, for example, at a workshop by Scott Eaton, and he's just a master when it comes to anatomy and muscles and skeleton and bone structure and everything. What he does is insane. He's sculpting those maquettes with for artists as reference, where you have half of the body covered with skin, half of the body only with muscles or the skeleton. It's, I don't know, I think it wouldn't, it's a mixture. It's good to not lose, not to to still have inside both, like live drawing where you only have the full figure, but also educate yourselves on muscles is a very good thing. But I know people who want to nail anatomy so hard that they start to memorize each muscle, and they know the Latin name and everything, but in the end they did not get better. It just looked very stiff, and it could have been like from a school book. So
yeah. Ian would like to know, what's your thoughts on Inktober? You didn't do that this year, did you?
Oh, I love Inktober. I love it very much, and I wanted to do it this year, but I was traveling so much that I couldn't. That's why I yesterday posted a throwback, because the only time that I really pulled through Inktober was 2017. I had the series with little gins squeezed into perfume bottles and other bottles, and I was enhancing them with gold powder. And yeah, that was really fun to do. Because I wanted to do something that is quick, so you can actually manage to do one a day without sitting on it the whole day. And I know that my friends, for example, they think about a story for Inktober months in advance, and I think that's very wise, because every time Inktober starts, I'm like, okay, but what am I going to do? And each day I have a different idea, and then in the end it's not cohesive at all. And yeah, it's good to think about Inktober before September.
Definitely. Unless, of course, you're following the prompts, in which case you won't know about the themes until like the week before October. It makes it a bit hard.
Oh yeah, you could also go just with the official thing. Yeah.
I think I saw a question back here from Creative Girl Color again about the brushes and Pocket. Yes, so Creative Girl Color, you will be able to use Paulina's brushes on Procreate Pocket because they're the same file format as the iPad version of Procreate. So same thing, you can just import them into Pocket and you'll be able to use them there as well.
Oh wow, I never used my own brushes in the Pocket version.
Oh my god, you need to get on that.
Yeah.
What? Katerina wants to know what size canvas are you using and what's the DPI for it?
In this case, it's just screen size. Here's the information. It's 2048 by 2732 and 132 DPI. It's the default thing for Procreate when you just want to start quickly, and that's what I always use for sketches.
So you got a lot of different countries around here. You got Russia as well. Got another person in Germany, Italy, another German person.
Hey, all my German fellows.
Costa Rica.
Angie's from Costa Rica.
That was Angie, yep. Mr. Era asking about pixelation. If you're zooming, like you just said you are, you're definitely going to see pixels. You can't avoid that. Procreate is a raster program, which means it works with pixels. So if you zoom in enough, you're always going to see pixels.
Yes, but look how much I can zoom in and you still cannot really see pixels. I mean, I don't know how the live stream quality is right now, but this is just the sketch size of the canvas and it's still very sharp. So you have to, yeah, now you can see pixels.
Pakistan as well. Wow.
As you can see, I use a lot of layers. I'm one of those layer junkies. I hope that one day there will be a version of Procreate with unlimited layers. I will use them all.
That would be the dream. I don't know if anyone in the comments caught, I think it was Max Olichney's stream a couple of months back, and he was just going through his drawing process, and he's painting on his layers, and then he just merges them all. And everyone in the comments freaked out, and I freaked out, and he was just like, yep, that's what I do. I just flatten everything and continue painting. And I was kind of like...
Oh, that's what I'm doing in the end.
That's what you do in the end? Mm-hmm. Oh. Man.
very satisfying to tidy up your layer cows.
Yeah, for sure. It's just, I'm one of those people that's never kind of sure enough with my artwork that I like it, that I'm comfortable in actually flattening it. I'm like, no, what if I need to go back and fix something?
Oh yeah, I can totally relate though. So if I'm in doubt, I would just copy the whole project, the whole file, and then work from the copy.
That's definitely a good way to go around it. Everyone, if you're gonna make any major changes to your work, duplicate the file just in case. Crystal, what are those rainbow brushes? Sorry if you touched on the topic already. What do you mean exactly, Crystal? You mean the pink that Paulina is using?
Probably your unicorn brushes you mentioned.
Oh, those rainbow brushes. Oh.
Okay, well, Georgie, since we're there, wait, let me duplicate it. I have, you did not show me how you use them and what you did with it, but I saw that here is the color dynamics. And I wanted to know if there is a possibility to kind of set a limit to how many colors I want to appear in the rainbow strokes.
Yes, so if you want just like 2 colors to appear, you can set the secondary color, and that'll only use like the primary and the secondary colors, which you can set in the color wheel. But if you want it to only hit like a range of colors, all you've got to do is set those hue and saturation, or not saturation, but the hue sliders, not all the way to 100%. So if you set it to 100%, it'll go through the entire spectrum. And if you set it down a little bit, it's going to cut the amount of spectrum. And that exactly what colors it uses is going to change depending on which color you've chosen on the color wheel, if that makes sense.
Okay, so this is now basically doing everything but blue. Interesting. Ooh. I know how I will do my rainbow color pictures in the future. I will just do this and then I'm done.
Nice! You're finished. You're sorted.
Already looks like all my paintings. That's funny.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. JK, yes, Paulina is using blend modes on her layers, so I think you're using multiply and add, weren't you, Paulina?
Yeah, right now I'm using add. It's like painting with light. It's my favorite tool.
And legit, yeah, you are going to be able to import your Photoshop brushes into Procreate 5. More on that when Procreate 5 is actually released, but that's definitely a thing that's happening.
How much time do we have left so I know how much I can, render and everything?
I mean, how much longer do you want to go for? As long as it's not like all night for you, because I don't want to keep you up.
My sleeping rhythm is usually not very regular. Every time people ask me about work-life balance, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have kids.
I can do what I want.
Oh no. There's oh no, now it works.
Oh no?
No, I thought there was a bug, but there isn't. All good.
No. Beta software. Renato in the comments, he wants to know, since you recently went back to traditional painting, have you found any tool or technique there that you'll try to emulate with Procreate?
No, I think it's more the new connections my brain made during concepting traditional artworks that my subconscious makes use of, if that makes sense in a way. So it's nothing that I could put my finger on, but I feel how it did something to my process.
Christina wants to know, how do you know when to stop? I'm assuming she means more like, how do you know when your piece is finished? Like, how do you get to a point where you're just like, that's it?
When I cannot think of anything more to do. I have been told that I finish my pieces too early. But yeah, I stop when I don't feel like doing it anymore, to be honest. I'm very motivation driven when it comes to that. Sometimes a break helps tremendously to have a fresh eye on it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough question. I remember discussing it a lot with friends when I started out, because it's simply not easy to answer. Sometimes you are limited to what you know in that moment, and your level of how good you are at that moment in drawing and painting, and you simply do not see more that you can do. And then this is the moment where overpaints from friends can help wonders.
Crystal would like to know if there are any books that you know of that you'd recommend for when you're just kind of learning how to paint.
James Gurney's, I think it's called Colored Light. Is it? Definitely the books by James Gurney. He's a very good concept artist and very good at explaining colors. And then I would say every art book that you truly, truly love is worth having.
I would definitely say yes to that. I've recently, probably over the past maybe 6 months, just started a proper art book collection, and I am obsessed.
Only 6 months? How many do you have by now? I mean, you have been to all the events as well, probably quite some.
But I never got around to actually purchasing anything. So I think at the moment I've got Peter Hahn's Dynamic Bible, which is not really an art book. It's more a fundamentals of sketching how-to/workbook. So actually, guys, if any of you are looking for books to start learning fundamentals, that one's actually really good.
Okay.
Peter he's a teacher at Art Center and just incredibly, incredibly talented. So that one's awesome. I've got The Art of Maxilichny, which I grabbed at Lightbox. That was cool. I've got 1, 2, and 3 of Tying by Evan Mel Amundsen. I've got the special edition hardcover, of course. And I've got Danny Diaz's Inktober sketchbook from 2016, which is an accordion sketchbook. So it's you can't really, you have to put it on the ground to look at the whole thing, because if you open it, it just falls out like an accordion because everything's joined together. But that's really, really lovely. And I recently backed Peter Hahn's The Blacksmith graphic novel on Kickstarter, and Pernille Orum's art book, which is also on Kickstarter right now.
I really like her work.
Yeah, her work's gorgeous. Have you ever thought of doing an art book, Paulina?
Sorry?
Have you ever thought of doing an art book? Because I would buy that.
Oh, yes. I have been talking about this a lot with Spiridon, who was the one doing hardcover and the art book of Evan May Amundsen and Raluca and many others. And he told me that I would need something between 80 and 400 artworks.
Wow.
And I think I don't even have 20 that I would put into it, so I'm working on that.
Oh my gosh. There's a lot.
Yeah. It is. But just look at the output of Evan. He has filled 3 art books now, and it's just insane. I mean...
Yeah. For anyone who actually wants to check out those books, I'm putting the links in the comments now. Sadly though, guys, because we do have to be really family friendly, I'm not going to be able to link you to hardcover because that is an over 18 book. It's got a lot of nudity and sexual themes, so if you want to check that out for yourself, do it, but I can't link it. Sorry.
Too bad.
Yeah, it is too, because it's full of incredible art, and that's probably going to send everyone there to look at it anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, it's there's the second book in the making right now.
Yeah, really excited for that one.
Me too.
Are you going to be in that one again?
Yes.
Nice. So the Art of Max Olichny, everyone, he doesn't have that online right now. He sold out at Lightbox, so that might be back in the future. I can't find any Diaz's Inktober book online either, but I'm sure you could look for it. You might find it. This piece reminds me a little bit of like a dark Sailor Moon.
You're right, I also get the vibe. Yeah, I wanted to make it a little bit more... I mean, what I do is usually very dark already, but I wanted to give it a little bit of a Halloween vibe.
Yeah.
Because the witchy season is here.
Can you talk a little bit about that actually? Because that's something I found really fascinating about your portfolio up until this point, is that this year you had a really big transition with the subject matter and especially the colours and themes of your work.
Yeah. So in 2016, I started to paint again. I did not paint for a long time before that because I was trying to be a successful 3D generalist. And I didn't ever consider again to make a living through painting because I thought that was not possible. Until I discovered that that's not the case. It's actually possible and a lot of people do that. That's when I started to, each day when I came home from work, I would sit down until midnight or maybe even later and just draw and try to get better. And I felt like since I haven't been drawing for such a long time back then, that because I'm also a huge Disney fan, that all my Disney childhood fantasy things I had to get them out before I could progress. I used them as exercises to get better technically. And when I felt like I reached a certain level where I could start working professionally as a freelance artist, I realized that, okay, my technical skill is now good enough. It's by far not done. Like, we never stop growing, but it's good enough to start working now. But what am I actually trying to say? I didn't know. I just started to feel off. Everything that I did felt off. I did not like what I did anymore. And I think it's a natural process of starting to question what you do and actually go more into storytelling, because I think storytelling is one of my weakest points. And I shifted from how do I do that to what and why do I do, and that, and I'm still in that process. I still have a hard time to figure that out, but I just try to really connect with how I feel while I'm painting and what really inspires me. So this is what came out of that. It was very intuitive.
Mm.
And sometimes it feels good to have a change, just like a spring cleaning or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Drawing something different, having that change can be completely transformative.
Exactly, and sometimes while you try something completely different, you realize that this might feel even more like you than the stuff that you used to draw all the time.
Mm. JK wants us to invite animators to the LiveDraw sessions once we release Procreate 5. That would be really cool, wouldn't it, Jay? VTED, yes, it will be possible to rewatch this live. It will be saved and posted to our live stream, what are they called? Not feed. Collection? Live stream collection on YouTube. So you'll be able to go and watch this again later, same as all of our other live streams. I think one of the things I'm most struck by, Paulina, is how fast you work.
What, fast?
Yeah. We've been doing this stream for 70 minutes now, and you've gone from completely nothing on the canvas to this already.
I never considered myself as fast.
Yeah, you're
somewhere along the process, I must lose a ton of time, because I know that maybe this was fast now, but I think when I try to think of what I do, or when I have a commission and people want me to bring across a certain message, or just a briefing, this takes ages. It takes me just ages to figure out what I actually want to commit to. So maybe that's why I always thought I'm not fast.
Mm. Mario would like to know if you have a YouTube channel, Paulina.
No, I don't. But I always, I'm still thinking about it in the back of my head. But YouTube is a ton of work. It's insane.
Yeah.
I have this 20-minute Procreate tutorial online, and just this took me days to edit and everything. And I know that you probably would get into a routine at a certain point, but wow, respect to everyone who has a YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Like other social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook are already so much work if you're going to put any actual effort towards them. To maintain them is insane, but to also do a YouTube channel and be editing videos and releasing them frequently, it's wow. Ian would like to know if you use a screen protector at all.
No, I don't, because I know that many of my friends have this, the one that is making things feel like real paper. There's a new one, it's even called Real Paper or something like that. But I appreciate that it's actually, there's no friction at all, because I feel like, I mean, you have to get used to the glass feeling, but it's so slippery that you have to use less muscle power. So it kind of, maybe it's just an illusion, but I feel like it's protecting my carpal tunnel, because I had bad issues in the beginning of the year when I was using Procreate for 16 hours per day, and it was just, I was just dying. I could not use my hand anymore, and I feel like not using a protector is helping, because it's so slippy.
Slippery, yeah.
Yeah.
Sergio, have you tried using a keyboard with the iPad and Procreate? Do you mean for like keyboard shortcuts, Sergio, or just in general? Because I have the Apple keyboard folio on my iPad and I use it and I love it. It's like a second laptop when I use that. But I don't imagine that's what you mean. Yes, he means keyboard shortcuts. Cool. Do you ever use keyboard shortcuts with your iPad, Paulina?
No. I like that I don't have to use a keyboard. I really just, I just take it everywhere. I draw with it everywhere. So to use as less as possible is just perfect.
I think that's the power of the iPad, and also to an extent the power of Procreate as well. Because it is so mobile, you can take it everywhere, and Procreate is built to be very gestural. So if you get used to the gesture workflow as opposed to the keyboard workflow, it can actually be, in some cases, faster than using a keyboard, especially with quick menu. So, I mean, to each their own, some people still really love using the keyboard shortcuts, and that's totally cool as well. Layer limits. Once I merge them into one, does it count as one layer? Yes, Christina. If you merge your layers or flatten your layers, it is then just one layer. So if you have a canvas with for example, 10 layers, and that's your limit, and you've used all your 10 layers, if you then merge them, you're back to one layer, so you'll have 9 spare.
I'm using the unicorn brush in the eyes. It's interesting to, I mean, there's a lot of try and error with a new tool, but
yeah,
it's
for
fun.
sure. I'm having a lot of fun creating my unicorn brushes in Procreate 5, but I'm struggling to actually think of a use case where people would really use them in their artwork because they're so extreme.
Exactly. But I think you could also help use the help of the blending options, and you can set back the saturation, right?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll play with it and see what I can do with blending.
So as you can see, I just use any color to kind of mask things so I can actually see what I'm doing, all the color cows, and then I just use the hue slider a lot until it feels right.
From Christina, if we drop 5 at Christmas, my family will go hungry. No, you've got to feed your family. Don't prioritize 5 over feeding your family at Christmas.
At this point, I'm just trying to add a little bit more depth through adding little shadows, because especially in the faces, I feel like those details make all the difference. Because humans are so well in reading faces. And by humans, I mean you. And also because you said that I am fast, it's usually you get to a certain point where it looks quite far done, but then the last 10% they would swallow up 80% of the time, because the rendering and the details and everything, it always takes forever.
Charlie Moss asking about adding audio to Procreate animations. It's something we've considered, but I couldn't tell you whether or not it will actually make it into Procreate 5. Procreate is, at its core, an illustration tool, and we don't intend to make Procreate into a fully fledged animation tool. We still want it to be an illustration app, because that's what it is and that's what we love creating with it. So I couldn't tell you, but who knows the future. Less than mediocre. The Procreate 5 launch never had a date, so I don't know where you've got November 15th from. The only information we have and the only information we've been giving people is that it will be released this year. Christina wants to know if you use masks at all, Paulina.
By masks, you mean this tool? That's a mask, right? That's what I'm doing. The selection tool. No.
Tiny delay on screen, so I can't see what you're talking about yet.
Masking. There are different ways of masking things. So, I do like to use the selection tool and then use that. But the way I mask sometimes. For example, if this would be a full body picture and I would try to start to render some of the clothes, for example, I would just use a very extreme color like this green, and then I would start to, for example, to mask a certain area like that. And from there you can either alpha lock the layer, so you can work on it and it will keep its shape. Here, alpha lock. Or you used clipping masks, where everything you do is just applied to that layer. For example, like that. That should be a new lipstick line.
I'm sure there's some creative makeup artists out there who will then go and recreate your neon unicorn brush lipstick.
There are quite some artists that are also really good makeup artists.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen quite a few makeup artists, like Instagram makeup artists, are doing the really creative pieces using Procreate to plan their pieces as well, which is super cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love doing makeup as well, but it's so frustrating to have to take it all off again.
That's like the bane of my nighttime existence. I just want to go to bed and now I have to go and clean my whole face.
Exactly.
Especially with eyeliner, because my eyeliner is like insane, I guess. It's really difficult to get off, which is great because it means it doesn't move, doesn't go anywhere. But when I'm like, oh my god, why?
Actually, the same with the lipstick that I always use.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because it does move, it's great, right? But then it also does move when you want it to move.
Anyone in the comments got any more questions for Pauline? It's like delay while I wait for people in the comments. I'm glad you're enjoying our gal talk about makeup, Christina. Oh, she would like to know what your favorite tool is, Paulina.
My favorite tool is the add blending option. Every time I do it, it feels like, do you know these videos on Instagram with slime?
With slime?
Yeah, there are people who create slime and they add crazy colors and glitter or other things to it, and then they just beat it or knead it, net it. How do you call it?
Need it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's incredibly satisfying to watch. That's how I feel when I use the add blending option.
I'm gonna have to go and look up slime videos on Instagram now.
I do follow a few slime accounts. It's a thing, just the same with ASMR. They have millions of followers.
Okay, look, I looked up slime on Instagram and there is 13.1 million posts on that hashtag.
See?
There's a big slime community out there.
Yeah, I'm normal, I told you.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
They can be super inspiring for textures, for artists as well. Really,
Yeah.
I would love to do some sketches on materials. There are the poofy ones that look like little clouds, then there are the ones that are super, super clear, or the ones that are very opaque, and then the ones that look like Flubber from the movie in the 90s.
Oh wow, I've just found one that is transparent. It looks like glass.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, what's she putting in it? She's putting, looks like plastic M&M sort of things in it.
Yeah, sometimes they look as they would be super delicious.
Oh my gosh. Oh, she's made it into a bowl. And now she's squished it. You are absolutely correct. That is really satisfying. I'm going to stop looking at that now because otherwise it will suck up my entire day.
Next to animal videos.
Yeah, next to animal videos and baby goats bouncing off other goats.
Exactly. There are so many ways to waste time. I always try
Sorry, Christina, what?
So many ways to waste time, but I always try to convince myself that this is like research, you know, because you try to figure out the essence of what is making it so satisfying. So how can I use that in my artwork?
Absolutely. Christina, the slime one. Oh, right, sorry. She means the ad blend mode that you were talking about and how you were relating it to the feeling of watching slime happen on Instagram.
I was just trying to find a good comparison to the degree of satisfaction that I feel.
Christina, the blend mode is in the layers. So if you tap on the N when you're in your layers menu on the layer, you'll be able to choose a different blend mode. And Paulina is talking about the add blend mode, and when she uses it, she gets the same feeling of satisfaction as she does when she watches slime videos on Instagram.
Well done.
I think I've explained that correctly.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, once again, guys, there is no release date for Procreate 5. It's just coming out this year. Promise. ABR brush question, Sergio. So, really exciting. When you import your ABR brushes into Procreate 5, you will be able to use all of Procreate's variations in the brush studio to edit those brushes further. So you'll have your ABR brush that you know and love from Photoshop, and then if there's something that you really love in Procreate's brush studio, you'll be able to add that or use that to edit your Photoshop brush as well. Just a note on that, those guys, that once your ABR brush imports into Procreate, it will become a .brush file, which is Procreate's native brush format, which means you won't be able to then export it and use it in Photoshop. It's a one-way street. Christina just wanted to make sure she knew the name of the tool, the add blend mode, so she doesn't just remember slimy goats. That's because that's how her brain works.
Slimy goats. That's actually a very creative brain.
Yeah.
I'm now making the eyes look super weird because I decided that I didn't like the shape, so I'm changing it now with the liquify tool, and I will have to fix it afterwards.
Sometimes I forget how actually useful the liquify tool is in a workflow. When I'm using the liquify tool, it's just to do really stupid things with artwork that I've already got in my iPad. It's like I'm just having so much fun, but then you see it in a professional workflow, and it's actually really cool to be able to change the shape of things that you've already done without really drawing it all the time.
Yeah, I really love it. Now I have so many layers with things that this is usually the time where I start to go through all the layers one by one and change the colors with the hue slider just to see what it does.
On every layer?
Yeah, I mean, look at this right now. It changes the whole mood of the picture.
Yeah. Sergio wants to know whether we think that liquify is better at the beginning, middle, or end of the entire process. Now, I've seen people using liquify in every single part of their process. Some people use it to fix up their sketches, their quick lines before they actually go forward with the piece. Some people use it to alter later. Some people use it at a more finalized stage, like Paulina did just then, with changing the shape of the eye. Is that also your experience, Paulina?
Yes, it's very useful in sketches, and I use it later as well. Yeah, just what you said. I can completely agree.
Christina wants to know what makes you start a new layer. So I guess, like, at what point, or how do you organize your layers, I suppose, is another way to phrase that question. So some people do entire sketches on one layer and then entire colors and then shadows, lights. Other people do divide it by different, like, parts of the drawing. What's your process for that?
I think every time that I think about a new light source, for example, this here is one layer. I do not know if my audio is synchronized with the stream actually, but yeah. So this, for example, then all additional shadows, for example, here, or then theme-wise as well, like the iris of the eyes. Yeah, I think it's like light layers in a way. Or here I just added a piercing, so this is on one layer. It's a mix between light sources and new ideas.
Jay's comment in the side here being that using more layers makes it a non-destructive process is completely correct. So the more layers you're using, the less chance of your painting being a destructive process. And what I mean by that is, so a destructive process is something like where, for example, you have one layer and you do all the painting on that. You're kind of, in a sense, ruining everything underneath because you're painting on it. Whereas if you're using lots of layers, it's a non-destructive process because you're not, you can go through and delete whatever you want without touching any more of the artwork. So definitely using more layers is a non-destructive process, but it can also be a bit more complicated, especially if you go through and you accidentally draw on the wrong layer. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Who's done that? Hands up, everyone.
I never drew on the wrong layer, said no one ever.
What? Oh, I thought you were saying that you've never drawn on the wrong layer, and I was like, no, that's not real.
Yeah, it's can be a problem when it keeps you from making artistic decisions and commitments. Mm. Something that I really enjoy as well is the post-production process, and I will enter it after I've been through the layers. Yeah, that's one of the biggest fun parts.
Christina wants to know what's in post-production. I think you're going to show us that, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. I will show you in a second.
Excellent. So you've got all of these layers in the one group. Do you ever use multiple groups?
No. I mean, yes, I just created this group so I could show earlier what I'm painting on.
Of course. Yeah.
Sometimes I do, but I'm more experimental, so I don't have it implemented in my workflow yet.
I've gone really quiet here, everyone. Sorry, but I'm really interested in what's happening on the screen right now, so I'm just focusing. Has anyone got any more questions? What's your favorite color, Paulina?
I like more characteristics of colors than specific colors. And what I really like about colors is when they are non-definable. I, for example, really like this certain violet blue tone where you cannot really tell if it's purple or violet, if it's purple or blue, I mean. It's the same color that sometimes in a night cityscape, when you have those neon signs, some people who do not really know how light functions, they make their neon signs blue, and you simply cannot read what they say because it's super hard to see. It's like a super weird blurry frequency for the eye. This is the kind of purple blue that I really like, even though you cannot read the sign then. And then there is this certain kind of yellow that is almost green. It looks a little bit like vomit. I like that one. I like grays that are not really gray. Like not easy definable colors.
It's really interesting. I don't think anyone has ever, usually when I'm to people, what's your favorite color? They just tell me a color.
Pink.
Well, in the Procreate Q&A Friday segments, we had someone ask us what our favorite colors were, but they wanted everyone at Savage who answered to give them the hexadecimal value.
Oh.
We had to go through and find the values for our favorite colors. It was really funny.
I can imagine, and it's not that easy, isn't it?
No, it's not easy at all. I had to, the closest I could come up with was, my favorite color is in this range of values, and I had to give them, 2 values for extreme and on either end.
Yeah, it's super hard to decide when you have them all in front of you because colors are always to be seen in context. I always wonder, if you would see the world only in red, and red is the only color that you know, it would feel like black and white, I'm pretty sure. You wouldn't know what red is. You would not have you couldn't compare it with anything.
Yeah.
It's the same when you use gray in a red image. It appears to be green, even though it's not green.
Yeah. It's really bizarre. Colors bug me out sometimes.
I love colors. I want to marry them.
So do I. All of my work is just bright rainbow colors all the time.
Okay, then there are still a few things that I would change. Wait, let me first see if I have the capacity of doing that. Yes, I can. Okay, so now I have here my flattened image, and I just want to do some more quick changes.
I think we discussed this next question, Paulina, on the one of the panels, the Firestarter panels in Berlin. But Mike Grundy would like to know, how do you manage artist's block if you ever come across it?
I think whenever we feel like art block, I can only speak for myself actually, because I know that people are functioning very, very different, and that's fine. There will never be a solution for everybody. But when I feel like not drawing or not capable, then what I am doing is I try to give myself the space to not draw, because this is my body telling me, or my mind, or both, telling me to get a break. And when I get this break, and sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's only a few hours where I would not be sitting in front of a canvas, but doing something with friends, or having a night out, or just doing something completely different, then that sometimes already helps. But I think, like, for me, it helps if I don't feel like drawing to simply not do it.
Printing question here. Any recommendations to get a good color accuracy, maybe some layers at the end? So, Sergio, at the moment, Procreate only has the color profiles sRGB and P3 wide on certain devices at least. Procreate 5 will have a CMYK color profile in which you will only be able to paint in print-friendly colors. There is no option to paint in other colors, so whatever you do on the canvas is going to show up in print. However, for right now, what you'll need to do is either convert your artwork at the end with a different program into a CMYK piece, which may end up with you losing some of the colors that you painted, or, and this is a little bit harder and more involved, finding the values for the colors that you want to use in CMYK and putting those in the value picker of the color wheel, and creating a color palette maybe would be easier out of those colors so that you can just paint with them. Everything will be easier in Procreate 5. That's, I guess, the TLDR for that one.
What is the next event that Procreate will be on?
That is not certain yet. Yeah, I don't know. We will have some involvement in one way or another with Playgrounds Blend in April. Whether we'll actually go to that ourselves or not, we don't know yet. Lightbox Expo, most likely 100% for sure in September next year. And there are potentials for Playgrounds the Art Department again next year, and also San Diego, stuff that one up, San Diego Comic-Con.
Have you been to San Diego Comic-Con this year?
Yeah, we went this year. We very, very small capacity. It was just myself and our in-house artist, Will. We went and we hung out with Peter Hahn at his booth. He invited us to come out, and we took half of his table in his booth, and we just were there with a couple of iPads and had a good time, met some, just kind of had a look at what the con was like, and it was really cool. So we will most likely be back in 2020, but we'll let you guys know when we know.
I've never been to a normal convention. Is it different than Lightbox Expo?
As well. It was, well, I mean, San Diego Comic-Con is massive. I think there's like 150,000 attendees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was kind of like a little bit naive going in, I think. I kind of turned up and I was like, yeah, it'll be fine. Like, it's going to be really big, but it'll be fine. And then the event opened and you couldn't move through the crowds, and I was just kind of standing there going, well, this is something. This is definitely not what I had in my mind. But it's so much fun. You know, there is so many cool exhibitors and incredible artists. I know Will definitely met some of his like childhood heroes when it comes to art.
Wow.
And some just insane cosplayers as well. Like those costumes are incredible. There was a guy who built the Juggernaut Iron Man costume out of cardboard, and he was standing on stilts or something, I don't know. So he was really, really tall, and his costume moved and everything. It was fantastic.
Wow.
And of course, all the merch, I bought a heap of pins. I'm sure if any of you in the watching were following us on Instagram or were at San Diego Comic-Con, you saw my pin haul that I had. My entire lanyard was covered. That was great. And there was like a Nickelodeon booth in which they had just like a giant Krusty the Krab set up. There was a restaurant in the middle of the thing, and they had a game and stuff in there, and they were selling SpongeBob meme toys, and it was brilliant.
How cool is that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely worthwhile experiencing it one in your life, that's for sure. It's insane.
So a lot more products and cosplays as well, right?
Yeah, so I think Lightbox still had a really good and important focus on the artists at its core. Whereas San Diego Comic-Con is definitely pop culture, which is super cool as well. But what I loved about Lightbox was still all of the talks and the panels that were happening. All right, we're back.
Okay. I don't know if people can hear me now, but yeah, I think there was something wrong with the app, I think.
Sorry.
Okay, so I would go to the post-production now, which is... do you know if people can hear us again?
Can everyone hear us? Wait for the delay. Yes, cool. Okay. They can all hear us.
Awesome. Actually, I just realized I do use groups, so I can blend out things that would confuse me. So I feel like I have a new workspace or something. So this is like put away in a box where I don't see anything else. And now I do this. I duplicate it until I have 3 of them. And then I use the curves tool to separate the color channels. And now we set the blending option or the blending mode on screen. And now when you take a single layer and you move it around, you can already see what it's doing and how it changes the colors.
Wow.
It's like almost like an overkill. I like that.
It's so cool. It's using those 3D glasses, I guess.
Yeah, true. Yeah, this is like a 3D picture. Maybe it's possible to build something with it. That would be nice. To not make it too wait. yeah, usually I just play then. For example, if I take the red layer and I just move it slightly to the right, it looks as if it's intensifying the edge of the light in the middle on the nose here. Whoops. Here. And here. And here. And here. So it's basically supporting my light source. And
Yeah.
so I don't use chromatic aberration just for the sake of it, but to kind of enhance certain things. And when you move the blue layer, usually it's not as strong, the effect. But if you move the 3 layers against each other in the right way, then it's almost as if there are little rainbows happening. Damn it, now it got stuck. It crashed, I think. Oh, no, it should be back.
Okay. Same line again. Let's go. All right.
Are we back?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So now you can see when I move the blue layer to the left, then we have almost something like a rainbow going on here. And I like that. And what also makes sense, instead of just moving them against each other, is to use, for example, something like perspective blur. So you put where you want your focal point to be, the eye of the perspective blur tool, and then you can just exaggerate it and see what it's doing. It's putting now I put it on the on maximum, which is obviously too much, but you can see how it is kind of adding some zoom to the picture, I feel like. So I only use it a little bit. Then I copy, sometimes when I'm too lazy to combine all the layers, I just copy the canvas and then I paste it again. So this is like my backup. And I also like to add a tiny bit of noise, because it's making everything seem more organic, but not too much, only like you can barely see it, it's just there, it's doing something. And this is the point where I sometimes forget things, or I cannot think of anything more, and then I decide to stop. Oh, here I did a mistake. An artifact. Gotta get rid of it. And yeah. Someone's getting emails.
That's me. So many notifications.
What else? What else am I doing? Yeah. I sometimes like to play around with the colors again. And for that I use, for example, the color balance and start with the shadows. And it's about being super subtle again. And also helps to make the image really small so you can see how the overall look changes. And now I feel like I didn't like any of this, so I just go back. And I try the same with the midtones. I like what this is doing to the highlights, or to the light source to the right. But I also don't want it too yellow, so the blue helps as well.
I think when we got cut out on the last stream, we were discussing events. I would like to know which events you're going to be at next year.
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't thought about this yet. Since most of the events are happening later in the year, so usually I just wait until New Year's Eve until I think about this. And also sometimes you get invited to the events. That also takes some time. I don't know. I haven't planned it yet, but I think I have to go to Lightbox Expo because it was amazing.
Yeah.
I have to go to Playgrounds because I love Playgrounds. I really hope that there will be London industry workshops again. It wasn't this year. They only had the demo day. Yeah, those are definitely my favorites.
Yeah, industry workshops was my first. It was my first event with Procreate, but it was actually my first art event at all. I had no idea that such a big community even existed in the world, of places where they could all get together. So industry workshops holds a little special spot in my heart, and I would love to see it come back next year. It would be awesome.
Yeah, they have a special spot in my heart as well. The atmosphere is just really amazing, and there is, like, everyone is always preaching how everyone is equal, but there really everyone is equal.
Absolutely. And you can't look past the breakfast spread as well.
They're the only event with a proper breakfast. It's the thing that I look forward the most always.
Really good, and their coffee was awesome as well.
Oh yeah, the really, really good coffee. And they have the same guys who make the coffee each year, and I love them.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Awesome. Hopefully it comes back next year then, because those guys were great. And if it does, hopefully I get to go again.
Now I'm just trying to make some quick fixes to certain little things that I noticed that I kind of not like. But it's just, yeah, it's because in the live stream and with focus also on talking, there's a little bit less carefulness in certain parts. But I think that's it. I think I'm done.
Nice.
Yeah. Wait. You can see. Yeah. Let's do this and merge it. So we can see post production and post production. So it's a difference of This is the difference.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, I was painting on it. Ta-da! Finished.
That's awesome. It's really cool to see the post-production over what it was prior to that.
Yeah, it's like I have this little collection of post-production things that that are possible, and I try to enhance that list every time that I see other people's workflows. Because you can really get something out of that after that. Even sometimes when you feel like you're completely lost, but then post-production can bring it back to life, or bring you back on track, or work from there again, or I don't know, it motivates me.
It's really cool. Okay, well, thanks so much for joining us today, guys. Sorry about the technical issues that we just got cut out a couple of minutes back, but this video will be posted to our YouTube channel, so you can watch it as many times as you want after, so you can write down all of Paulina's hot tips to transfer into your own workflow. We will grab these videos and knit them together so it's all one long consistent video, and see you around.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Yes. It was awesome to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Then see you again soon somewhere.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.